The world of the Bronze Age was a marvel of human ingenuity, a tapestry woven from the threads of commerce, diplomacy, and technological mastery, stretching from the Aegean to the banks of the Nile, from the Anatolian plateau to the plains of Mesopotamia. It was a civilization defined by its interconnectedness. Great empires and city-states flourished, their palaces rising above bustling marketplaces, their kings exchanging gifts and letters across hundreds of miles. It was a world that, at its height, seemed invulnerable. Yet within a single generation, it crumbled into dust. The story of the Bronze Age collapse is one of sudden twilight. Imagine a world as advanced as our own, where the gears of society, government, trade, technology spin in perfect harmony. Then, seemingly overnight, those gears seize. Cities are abandoned, empires fall. The knowledge and culture accumulated over centuries vanish, as if swept away by an invisible hand. This is not merely the end of a chapter in human history. It is the closing of an entire book, its pages scattered by forces we still struggle to understand. To grasp the magnitude of this collapse, we must journey back to the years before 1200 BCE, when the Eastern Mediterranean brimmed with life and innovation. The Hittites, masters of chariot warfare and diplomacy, ruled from the fortified city of Hattusa. The Mycenaean Greeks, architects of epic palaces and pioneers of written Greek, held sway across the Aegean. Egypt, under the iron will of pharaohs like Ramesses II, radiated power from the banks of the Nile. In Mesopotamia, the Assyrians shaped the future of warfare and administration with their disciplined armies and advanced statecraft. This was not a world of isolated brilliance. It was a network, a system of cities, empires, and cultures bound together by trade and technology. The Uluburun shipwreck, resting beneath the waves off the Turkish coast, testifies to this connectivity. Its cargo, a cornucopia of goods, from Cypriot copper to Afghan tin, Baltic amber to African ivory. These materials, essential for bronze production, traverse thousands of miles, sustaining the technological backbone of civilization. But beneath this surface of prosperity, the seeds of disaster were germinating. The collapse, when it came, was swift and devastating. Archaeologists uncover evidence of hurried departures, half-eaten meals left to rot in abandoned homes, bureaucratic tablets inscribed with desperate pleas for help, never delivered. In the great city of Ugarit, a cuneiform tablet records a final call for military aid. The city was reduced to rubble before the message could be sent. What could have brought such catastrophe? The ancient Egyptians left records of invasions by enigmatic groups, the Sea Peoples. These warriors, depicted with feathered headdresses and round shields, arrived in waves, attacking coastal cities with merciless precision. Yet, the true identity of the Sea Peoples eludes us. Their names, Peliset, Cheker, Denyen, echo in Egyptian texts, but their origins remain shrouded in mystery. Some suggest they were displaced Mycenaeans. Others believe they were refugees fleeing chaos further north. But a troubling possibility lingers. Perhaps the Sea Peoples were not the architects of collapse, but rather its byproduct, symptoms of a deeper systemic failure. Modern science has begun to peel back the layers of this mystery. Climate data reveals a period of intense drought, beginning around 1200 BCE, that gripped the Eastern Mediterranean in famine and desperation. Tree rings, sediment cores, and ancient inscriptions converge on the same conclusion. Crops failed, food became scarce, and hunger drove populations to migrate. The pharaoh Merneptah, once a foe of the Hittites, boasted of sending grain shipments to his former adversaries, now reduced to supplicants by starvation. Yet drought alone cannot account for the breadth of devastation. The key lies in the interconnectedness that had made the Bronze Age world so vibrant. When famine struck one region, the effects rippled outward. Trade faltered, cities lost access to vital resources, economies contracted. Specialized centers of manufacturing and administration found themselves cut off from food supplies. Their urban populations, dependent on imports, faced starvation or flight. Political authority crumbled in the face of these cascading failures. Kings lost legitimacy as they failed to provide for their people. Palatial administration, once the backbone of government, became irrelevant when there was nothing left to redistribute. Armies, deprived of the agricultural surplus that sustained them, collapsed. Defensive walls, hastily rebuilt, offered little protection against the relentless advance of systemic breakdown. Technology, once the engine of progress, became a liability. Bronze, whose production depended on tin from distant lands, grew scarce as trade routes faltered. The collapse of these networks forced a radical technological pivot. Iron, once rare and difficult to produce, was suddenly adopted by necessity. Unlike bronze, iron could be sourced and smelted locally, freeing survivors from dependence on international trade. Those who mastered iron survived, those who clung to the old ways did not. The consequences of collapse were not merely material. The loss of institutional memory was profound. Mycenaean Greece forgot how to write for centuries. The location of Hattusa, the Hittite capital, vanished from human knowledge for 3 millennia. Bureaucratic systems, artistic traditions, and technological expertise disappeared, sometimes never to return. The fall was not just the destruction of buildings, it was the erasure of identity. Yet, amid the ruins, we find glimpses of lost sophistication. The Ulubaran ship and linear B tablets hint at economies and systems as complex as any in the modern world. These were not primitive societies, but highly organized, technologically advanced cultures whose achievements would not be rivaled again until much later. Not all fell equally. Egypt, battered but resilient, maintained its pharaonic order. Assyria retreated but endured, later rising to dominate the region. Their survival suggests that centralized control and robust agriculture offered some immunity to the systemic shocks that destroyed their neighbors. The collapse was uneven, with some regions experiencing rapid destruction, others slow decline, and some mere transformation. This patchwork points to the influence of local factors, geography, political structure, agricultural methods, on the fate of civilizations. As we unravel the story, we find that the Bronze Age collapse was not a single event, but a complex web of failures, migrations, and adaptations. Today, new tools are illuminating the past. Climate science, genetic analysis, and computer modeling are helping us reconstruct the dynamics of collapse. They reveal a world where multiple stresses, environmental, economic, political, combine to overwhelm even the most advanced societies. The lessons of the Bronze Age collapse echo through time. Our civilization, like theirs, relies on complex systems and global networks. The same vulnerabilities exist: climate change, resource scarcity, political instability. The past warns us that even the greatest societies can fall, and fall quickly when their systems are pushed beyond the breaking point. But the story is not only one of disaster. From the ashes, new civilizations arose. Greeks rediscovered writing, Assyrians forged new empires, Phoenicians spread their alphabet across the world. Humanity rebuilt, adapted, and learned from its mistakes. The mystery of the Bronze Age collapse endures, a cautionary tale of fragility, resilience, and the enduring power of human innovation. It reminds us that history is not a simple march of progress, but a complex dance of triumph and tragedy. And as we peer into the ruins, we see not only the shadow of loss, but the promise of renewal.